All right, let's dive right into PC Guard's remote protection. In this explainer, we're going to show you exactly how to take control of your application's update lifecycle. We'll cover how you can manage which updates your users get, and just as importantly, when they get them.
So here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll talk about what the updates policy even is. Then, we'll get into the most critical part, the update ID. After that, we'll look at different scenarios you can set up, how to configure those limited updates, and even how to change a policy that's already out in the wild. And of course, we'll wrap up with a quick summary.
So first things first, what exactly is the updates policy? You can think of it as a set of rules you define. It's a tool that gives you, the developer, really fine-grained control over your software's lifecycle, long after it's been installed and activated on a customer's machine.
And this is really the heart of it, right? It's all about giving you precise control. This is the mechanism that lets you decide if a new version is, say, a free bug fix release or a major new version that requires a paid upgrade. All of that is enforced automatically by the protection code.
Okay, now for what is probably the single most important concept here, the update ID. Seriously, everything we talk about from this point on is going to build on this one simple value.
So what is this update ID? Well, it's actually super simple, but it's incredibly powerful. It's just a number you assign to each new build of your application. But this is how the protection code can tell one version of your app from another. It's the foundation for the entire policy system. And this, right here, this is the golden rule. It's so important. For this whole system to work, you have to always increment the update ID for each new release. The system relies on a very simple comparison. A higher number always means a newer version. Simple as that.
All right, now that we've got the update ID down, let's talk about the big picture. What can you actually do with it? Well, there are three main strategies, or scenarios, you can implement for your software releases.
This slide really lays it all out, side by side. For a free update, you keep the application signature, that's your app's unique identifier, exactly the same. The new version will see the existing license and just work. But for a paid update, you just change that application signature. That single change tells the system, hey, treat this like a brand new application. It will ignore the old license and force the user to get a new activation.
But it's not just about free or paid. There's a third option that gives you a ton of flexibility, and that's the limited updates policy. This is where you can build much more complex rules. Like, for example, giving users free updates for exactly 1 year after they first activate. Let's dig into that.
Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. How do you actually set up one of these custom limited policies? This is where you start combining different conditions to perfectly match whatever your business model is.
Think of these as the building blocks for your policy. You always have to start with the first one, the mandatory one, setting a time limit based on the user's activation date. But from there, you can add other optional layers, like locking updates to a specific calendar range, or even controlling which version numbers can be used.
You can see how this layers up. You start with that mandatory window, right? Let's say you offer 365 days of free updates. Then, on top of that, you could add another rule that only allows updates released in a specific calendar year. Or you could even get really specific and prevent users from, say, jumping from version 1 all the way to version 3, forcing them to install version 2 first.
Okay, but what happens when things change? Let's say you need to adjust a policy that's already out there in the wild, on your customers' machines. Maybe you want to extend their update period as a promotion. Well, you've got two ways to handle this.
The first method is pretty straightforward. You just embed the new policy change right into your next software update. But the second method, this one is really powerful. You can send a user a special license extension file. This lets you update their policy remotely for just that one user without them having to download and install a whole new version of your software.
All right, let's wrap this up by recapping the core logic. You really want to have these rules clear in your head, because understanding how the system thinks is key to making sure everything works the way you expect.
So remember these key takeaways. First, the protection code is always keeping track of the highest update ID a user has successfully run. When they launch a new version, it first checks, is the new ID higher? If it is, then it checks that ID against your policy rules, like the time limit. And never forget that application signature is the simple on-off switch that decides if an update is free or if it's a paid upgrade.
So we've given you the how, the technical framework, but the what and the why, that's up to you.
Whether you want to implement annual maintenance plans, paid major versions, or maybe even limited time offers, the updates policy gives you the tools you need to build your business model directly into your protected application.